Hello guys, this is Jay. Welcome to my journey. So we're going to continue off with where I left off last time in Long Beach. Of course, the last time I've been in Long Beach was a few months ago, which was not a few months ago. It was actually, when I left, was February 13th. But before that, and I was staying there for a couple of months, since October, but before that, I was there around June. That was the first time I went to Long Beach. It was definitely something I'll remember just because I had a place to stay and a place to shower. So we woke up that morning. It was icy cold, especially being alongside the beach. Cuddle up with Sugar. And that morning, I decided to pull an oracle card. It said, begin. I assume that means continuing my journey towards north. Of course, my intuition at the time told me to go north. I don't know why, but after I got to San Diego, it told me, okay, head north. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so we did. Sugar and I continued our journey towards north. Of course, we were low on fuel, and we were trying to figure out what to do next. I got my phone out to see where it would bring me next, or where I should go now. Something told me I should go on a trail, and so Sugar and I did. Right in Santa Clarita, California. It was a nice little trail. We went off trail and climbed a very steep hill. Sugar almost slid off. I burnt myself out. And then when I got to one of the peaks, I looked in, I would say, west. I'm not for sure. But it was in a direction that I felt like was west. And I saw buildings that reminded me of Spanish architecture or Hispanic. And then a church sitting right in the center. And then we climbed back down. I decided when I walked back, I noticed at the entrance or the exit towards my vehicle, on the left side, where was a tree with broken branches shaping out a circle. And I sat in the middle of that circle and decided to meditate. I don't know why, but I started chanting I call it gibberish because I don't know what it is, but it reminded me of indigenous people when they do their little chant, powwow. I don't know what you want to call it. If you guys are watching this, please leave a comment down below what it's called. And don't assume that that's what I was trying to do, because it was just all what I was feeling at the time and not what I was thinking. So here it goes. E-ya-e-ya, E-ya-e-ya-o, way-ha, way-ha, E-I-O. E-ya-e-ya, E-ya-e-ya-o, way-ha, way-ha, E-I-O. And so I was chanting this, and I don't know why, but I felt excited. I felt a lot of energy flowing up. And of course, I guess the rule about this little chanting I was doing is that using vowels, or used mostly vowels and hardly any consonants. I don't know, it's just hard to explain what I was feeling at the time about this. and I was beating my medicine drum. Of course, it's broken now. I would like to get me a new one day, but one step at a time. Of course, I still have my sticks, as you can see here. Yeah, those are I call Seder sticks, my journeying sticks, but I do mostly meditation. To me, that's a more refined way of connecting yourself with life. And it's free, you don't have to go anywhere for it. Back to my little experience. After I was beating my drums, I noticed there was a lot of trash, so I decided to pick up trash around and try to water some squirrels. Of course, they didn't want to be a part of that, and I continued my journey into the town of Santa Clarita. I was really hoping someone would come by and just hand me cash. That's what I wrote in my journal, but I knew that wasn't going to happen, and I wasn't going to beg for it either. And I was continued driving until I came across a British pub. Of course, if you guys were watching my video and one of my previous videos, I was talking about two guys were talking about, like 2 days ago, we're talking about the British taking over. And also a comment that says there's no going back now, this is also true. At least from my experience. I don't feel like there's any way for me going back into the old way of living. I remember going to the British pub and asking to use the charger, or like, let me plug in an outlet to charge. At first he said, no, we can't do that, it's for customers, sorry. The guy's name is Greg, really kind person. But I did ask him if his manager was around to see if I could work for a couple of days to continue my journey. And he said, come around 6:30, that's when he should appear. So while Sugar and I was killing time, I did try to go to a creek and try to fill it with water. Of course, the water looked very dirty and nasty, so I changed my mind. Of course, I found out later it's not safe to drink creek water unless it's been sterilized, just boiled. But I did have plenty of water at the time. Later that day, I tried to ask him, when I returned back, he said that his manager was no call, no show. And I don't know why. After he told me that, I couldn't help but to ask again about charging. Oh yeah, he asked me if there's anything else that I need, and I told him to charge my phone, and somehow he let me charge my phone. I felt it right then and there in my heart that he was going to give this to me, and he did. And while I was letting my phone charge, I went to my vehicle and started crying and pouting. Not necessarily because I don't have the money and stuff, but it's just, I felt like I was releasing something. Of course, I was still going through a detox process. When you get older, especially when you get around the age of 34, detox can take a long time, especially if you drink and smoke every single day. Of course, I didn't really care much for liquor. It was beer and wine and sake that I really enjoyed. After a couple hours went by, I got a little juice in my phone, but I felt like it wasn't enough to get me going. But that was okay. I wasn't too worried about it. I rested in that parking lot that night, only till the next morning. Security knocked on the door of my window and told me I can't park here. And I told him that I heard, like according to Greg, that the security guy usually lets people park out here, and he said fake security guy. He already got in trouble or something. But he was kind enough to suggest me to park at the Pie Pies parking lot down the road. And so I did. Of course, later that night, it seemed like to me someone was trying to peek through, and then as soon as I popped my head up, he darted off. I think he was trying to see if there was any goods in there for him to take. But failed to realize that there was somebody in there. And the next morning, I don't know, maybe we'll stop on this section. Something tells me we should probably continue this next explanation in another video. Just follow my intuition, following what feels right. If there's a takeaway from this, is follow what feels right. You know, trust the flow of life, because it always has your back, even if it feels uncertain. Like I said, I left with $20, full tank of gas, no plan. Somehow, within less than a year, I made a lap around the US. And now, here I am in LA, in an apartment. Of course, now I'm trying to figure out my financial situation. I have DoorDash, but something tells me not to do that just yet. I don't know what life's going to throw at me next. Of course, I am working on a travel business. If you guys would like to put together an itinerary with me, you can. Possibly I can do tarot card readings. I have my own separate channel called Jay's Tarot Readings. Of course, it's not growing. It's actually not growing as fast as this channel, which is my surprise. But I'm not complaining, because this is my main channel. This is just about me and my life and how I'm going through this transformation. I do feel like a different person today than I was yesterday, and I have a good feeling something great's going to happen from it. It's just going to happen exactly the way how it should be, and all in divine timing. Just trust that the universe, consciousness, God always has your back, no matter where you go. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, please leave a like. Also, too, subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more of my content. Hit that notification bell to see more of my videos. Also, too, comment down below to tell me what you think. I know I keep on saying also, too. I've been listening to my videos before I upload it, and then I try to take note in my mind of what I need to work on. I do feel like I'm improving little by little, but still, I feel like I'm still not where I need to be at. But I keep on telling myself I'm a great speaker each and every day. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Bye for now.